Book of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 14 through 16. Matthew 5, 14 through 16. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. You know, there are songs that I want to sing that are not in the songbook. I thought the song was in the songbook, and it's not. So I was going to go print it up, and then I thought I don't have enough time. So we're not going to sing it. But it does have to do with the lesson. O Christian, do not hide your light, for ye are the light of the world. Keep it trimmed and burning bright, for ye are the light of the world. And it goes on. So that being said, I would sing it, but I don't want all of you to leave. So in order to keep you here, the lesson this evening is pretty much what was read. We are the light of the world. It's dark out now. I don't like this time change. I don't know who decided this was the better time, but I think they're mistaken. I think it should be light until at least 8 o'clock every night. We are the light of the world. Or we ought to be the light of the world. Does anybody here own a mag light? With the mag light, you can turn the lens, and it will either be a spotlight, or it can expand to give a wider view. I think we need to be both. Sometimes we need to be that spotlight. We need to focus on an individual or a person or a group. But then in the greater sense, when we're out in the world, we need to have that light as expansive as it can be, so that the light will shine on the world. So what are some things that light does? Well, it catches the attention of others. When I was in the military, for somebody that only did 3 years active duty, I have a lot of military stories. When I was in the military, I was a medic, and I was the driver for the second lieutenant that was over our section. And when I was stationed at Fort Polk, Louisiana, when we were out in the field, we did a lot of night moves. So we're out there on a tank trail, and he needed to go check on some of the medics that were out there with the different companies, and we got lost. So I suggested, why don't we turn the headlights on? Oh, that radio it went from silence to whoever has their lights on. And we turned it off and hoped that they never found out who it was, because you're supposed to be training for an actual combat situation. So we did end up finding the people that we were looking for, but it took all night, because they have, it's called blackout drive, and it's basically like having a pin light on the front of your vehicle in pitch dark. And you really can't see much. You're past the turn before you're getting there. As before, you could just, I'm sure now they have GPS where they're just, we make a right here, make a left there. Not when I was in. So light catches your attention. I know it caught their attention, and they were outranking the second lieutenant, so I don't know what their ranks were, but I know the second lieutenant was nervous. So light catches attention of others. In 1 Peter chapter 2, in verse number 9, would help if I went to 1 Peter. I do this a lot. 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse number 9. But you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, his own special people, that you may proclaim the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. We have been called out of darkness into a marvelous light. We need to call others out of darkness into a marvelous light. In Matthew chapter 6, verse number 5. Matthew chapter 6, verse number 5. And you, when you pray, you shall not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the corners of the streets, that they may be seen by men. Assuredly, I say to you, they have their reward. Our light should not shine on us. It's God's light. We've made this distinction several times. We need to let God's light shine through us. We do that by our actions. We do that by our words. We do that by the way in which we care for people. But it is God's light that they need to see. Many preachers today in the world, and I'm speaking of Christendom in the general sense of the word, they're up there, many of them, for the praise. They're up there, many of them, for the honor. They're up there, many of them, for the glory. They're up there, many of them, for the money. We need to fall on our knees if we're in the way of somebody seeing God. We need to get out of the way. If we need to fall on our knees, if we need to get prostrate on the ground so that they don't look at us, but they look at God, that's what we need to do. Matthew chapter 5 and verse 16. Our light should glorify God. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Everybody should see God's light shining through us. It should illuminate everything around us. It should be such a light that people cannot ignore it. It needs to be sometimes that direct spotlight. They don't have these anymore. Do you guys remember at movie theaters or the opening of a store, they had these huge lights that would crisscross the sky? Why? To draw your attention. You could drive for hours and never find it, or maybe that was just us. It's got to be right around the next corner, and you'd go, that's not there. It's amazing. Again, slightly off subject, but a few weeks ago, a week or so ago, some of the members I heard, they were talking about going to the airport and watching the planes land. Have you ever noticed the lights that they have? That you can see them from miles and miles away in the sky. But then when they come down closer to landing, They don't seem as bright. I don't know why. Does anybody know why? If you know the answer, let me know. So, light helps to illuminate something that the darkness has hidden. Again, how we get panicked if we wake up at night and the lights have went out, or you're watching something and the power goes out and you don't have that light. Now, most of us have been in our homes for a long time. Most of our furniture isn't moved on a daily basis, so you should kind of know how to get from the couch to the flashlight wherever you keep it. Why do we always run into something? Because darkness hides things. Again, Lynette and I have a friend, she's a sister in Christ. She had vision up until her 30s, but in the late teens and through her 20s, I think it was macular degeneration. Now she is legally blind. It's amazing to me how she goes on with life. Everything from the way her money is folded a certain way to the clothes in her closet are hung a certain way. I don't know who does her makeup. I don't know how she does her makeup, but her makeup is always flawless. Try that, ladies. Darkness hides things. Light illuminates. Let's look at Luke 15 and verse 8. Luke 15 and verse 8. It helps us find the lost. The light helps us to find the lost. Oh, what woman having 10 silver coins, if she loses one coin, does she not light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? We've all lost something at one time or another. I don't lose things, I misplace them until I find them later, weeks or months down the road. This is how I make myself feel better. When I was younger, before I wore prescription glasses, I wore sunglasses. So I'm in the house and I'm yelling at the kids about, where are my glasses? Who took my sunglasses? They were on top of my head. Romans chapter 1, verse 16. Salvation is something that we should proudly share. We looked at that scripture also this morning. The gospel is the power of God unto salvation. We should be boldly proclaiming his word. So what else does light do? Light illuminates the way. It illuminates the way. Let's look at Philippians chapter 3 and verse 17. Brethren, join in following my example, and note those who so walk as you have us for a pattern. We have the pattern of the apostles. We have the pattern of Jesus Christ to follow. They illuminate the way for us. If we follow in their footsteps, then we can be assured that we are right with God. Let's look at Matthew 23 and verse 3. Matthew 23 and verse number 3. Therefore, whatever they tell you to observe, that observe, and do. But do not do according to their works, for they say and do not do. Words and actions need to match up. There's a lot of people, as they say, they talk a good game, right? When anybody that follows sports, you always have the Monday morning quarterbacks, and they're going to tell you everything that the team should have done. That's easy on Monday. Not so easy on Sunday when you have a 350-pound lineman about to bury you into the AstroTurf. But our actions and our words must match up. And again, this is very significant, especially when we're speaking with younger people. Because if your actions don't match up with your words, they will let you know. We need to walk the walk and talk the talk. It's easy to say, I'm going to do this, and then never do it. Somewhere written, you have two sons, and the father comes to the one son and says to him, I'm paraphrasing, says, I need you to do this, and that son says, absolutely, got it, no problem. He goes to the other son and he says, I need you to do this, and he was like, yeah, no, I can't get to that. The son that said he was going to do it didn't do it. The son that said he wasn't going to do it ended up doing it. Who did the will of the Father? The son that originally said he wasn't going to do it. Why? Because his actions showed. It doesn't matter what you say you're going to do if you don't follow through with it. And again, especially with younger people, they are looking at how we're living. Not what we're saying we're living, but how we're living. Let's look at Proverbs 6 and verse 16. Proverbs 6 and 16 through 19. These 6 things the Lord hates. Yes, 7 are an abomination to him: a proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that are swift in running to evil, a false witness who speaks lies, and one who sows discord among the brethren. Again, we are blessed in this congregation because, as far as I can tell, we do not have one who sows discord among the brethren. But if you've been in the Lord's church long enough, if you've been to enough congregations, there often is this individual. We need to make sure that does not have hypocrisy, or lying is something that God hates. Let our yes be yes, let our no be no. And then Matthew 18, verses 6 and 7. I'm going to read 5, 6, and 7. Whoever receives one little child like this in my name receives me. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believes in me to sin, it would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and he were drowned in the depth of the sea. Woe to the world because of offenses, for offenses must come, but woe to that man by whom the offense comes. We are warned not to lead others to sin. We should be a light that leads away from sin. Sin is darkness. Another thing that light does is light guides in time of danger. Again, in time of danger. If you're driving down the highway and you see flashing yellow light, that's what? That's a warning. That's like, hey, something's getting ready. If it's flashing red light, probably should stop. If they're behind you when they're red and blue, you definitely should stop. Does anybody know what a wigwag is? It used to be a question on the California wigwag. A wigwag is right before the railroad crossing, the thing that goes ding, 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 ding. That's a wigwag. It's not on the test anymore. It's just throwing it out there because it is a red light. But it guides, light guides in time of danger. Let's look at Matthew 14, 30 and 31. It lists those whose faith is weak. But when he saw that the wind was boisterous, he was afraid. And beginning to sink, he cried out, saying, Lord, save me. And immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him and said to him, O you of little faith, why did you doubt? It lists those whose faith is weak. Again, I've said this many times. There are members that I know are struggling physically. And they're here every Sunday. What is my excuse? Oh, I have a sore arm. Or they are showing and encouraging me. I don't know about everybody else. But when you have somebody in their 90s that you know is struggling, and they're coming through the door with a walker, we have no excuse. We have no excuse. Light lifts those whose faith is weak. And then Galatians chapter 6. Galatians 6 and verse number 1. Brethren, if a man is overtaken in any trespass, you who are spiritual, restore such a one in a spirit of gentleness. In a spirit of gentleness. Considering yourself, lest you also be tempted. Again, we can say all the right things, but say them in the wrong way. Anybody that's ever been on a sports team or in an organization where you've been in charge of or managed more than one or two people, they're all unique individuals. You can't approach them all the same way. There's some that you have to approach and you have to be very mild. Hey, Bill, can I talk to you for a minute? I need you to improve whatever. Then there's the people that were like me. Dorling, get over here. What are you doing? I'm trying to, no. We need you to do this. That was me. Why? Because I needed you to kind of get me moving in the right direction. Whereas if you'd approached Bill that same way, Bill would have shut down. When we're sharing the gospel with people, we can't approach them all the exact same way. Some of them they might, oh my gosh, you know way too much Bible. Well, here, flip over here. No, flip over here, and they've never opened a Bible. You might be, oh, I'll never know the Bible like that. You might run them off. Then you have people that think they know the Bible. Well, that's the time you need to, okay, well, let's look over here. Okay, well, what about over here? What about this passage over here? We need to make sure that we are sharing the gospel in gentleness, in the hopes that they will see the light. And now, quickly, and this is going to be closing, Matthew 25. Matthew 25, verses 1 through 13. I know it's a little bit of a lengthy reading, but I wanted to make a few points from this. Beginning in verse number 1. Then the kingdom of heaven shall be likened to 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. Now, 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. Those who were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. But while the bridegroom was delayed, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight a cry was heard, "Behold, the bridegroom is coming. Go out to meet him." Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out." But the wise answered, saying, "No, lest there should not be enough for us and you. But go rather to those who sell and buy for yourself." And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came. And those who were ready went in with him to the wedding, and the door was shut. Afterward, the other virgins came also, saying, "Lord, Lord, open to us." But he answered and said, "Assuredly I say to you, I do not know you. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour in which the Son of Man is coming." All 10 started out with their lights shining. All 10. 5 kept their lights shining, and they continued to be a light to the world. 5 let their lights go out. They ceased being lights to the world. The 5 who continued to let their lights shine were granted access. The 5 who let their lights go out were refused access. Which of those describes us? Just in case, here's the song. Can you guys see that if I hold it up? No? That is the lesson for this evening. I did want to print this up. I will sing the very beginning. "O Christians, do not hide your light, for ye are the light of the world. But keep it trimmed and burning bright, for ye are the light of the world. For ye are the light of the world. For ye are the light of the world. Then keep your lamps all burning bright, for ye are the light of the world." And it goes on. Thank you so much. If there's anyone here that has yet to obey the gospel or needs the help or the prayers of the congregation, we ask you to come forward as we stand and as we sing.
You at the cross, Christ will meet you there. He